Hello, my friends. Subscribe and like. I discovered a thread where my bride-to-be described me as a caring purse with feelings. One of her pals replied, "Sis, drain him." I kept quiet. Now she's outside my door yelling like crazy after 32 ignored texts. My name's Ethan, I'm 34, and what I'm about to tell you is still messing with my head. It all started when I accidentally stumbled across a group chat that my fiancée Natalie, 31, was in with her bridesmaids. Sounds innocent, right? You'd think it'd be full of cake photos, Pinterest links, and venue ideas. Instead, I found a message that hit like a punch to the chest. Natalie had written, "Ethan is basically my emotionally supportive wallet at this point." I froze, I read it again, then one of her friends replied, "Girl, milk it." This wasn't said during an argument or in a moment of stress or even in private. It was casually tossed into a group chat like it was the most normal thing in the world. These weren't strangers either. These were her closest friends, the women she'd chosen to stand by her on the biggest day of her life. And apparently they were all in on this little joke. But it wasn't just a joke to them, they were serious. They were talking about how to squeeze as much out of me as possible before Natalie upgraded to someone more exciting. Their words, not mine. And I just sat there, staring at the screen, trying to figure out how the woman I loved could talk about me like I was nothing more than a bank account, with a smile. Natalie and I had been dating for about 8 months when she told me her lease was ending. She said her roommates were toxic, her living situation was draining her, and she just needed a fresh start. I cared about her, so when she asked if she could move in with me, I said yes. The idea was simple. We'd split the rent and make it work together, except the split never actually happened. When rent day rolled around, there was always an excuse. 1 month she was between freelance gigs, the next her car needed a surprise repair, then it was a billing issue with her bank, followed by an unexpected dental emergency. It was like a never-ending list of mini disasters, and each time I stepped in to help. At first, I didn't think too much of it. I mean, that's what partners do, right? Support each other when things get tough. I wasn't trying to be a hero, I just cared about her. Natalie was smart, charming, beautiful in that magnetic kind of way. I told myself she was just going through a rough patch, and I could shoulder the load for a while. But slowly, almost without me realizing it, I ended up paying for everything. Rent, groceries, her phone bill, even the therapy dog she needed because of her heavy aura. And yeah, I even helped her buy equipment for her so-called brand work. Ring light, backdrop, the whole influencer's starter pack. I kept telling myself it's fine, this is temporary. Once she gets back on her feet, it'll all balance out. Despite everything I proposed, yeah, I know how that sounds. Looking back, I can't even fully explain why I did it. Maybe I was clinging to the version of Natalie I wanted her to be, the one who laughed at my dumb jokes and made me feel like I mattered. So I planned a quiet, intimate proposal. Just the two of us. No grand gestures, no hidden photographers, just something real. And when I asked her to marry me, she cried. She told me I made her feel safe, that for the first time she could finally breathe. In that moment, I actually believed we were on the same page. That all the rough stuff we went through was just a chapter, not the whole story. Then the wedding planning started, only it wasn't really about the wedding, or us. It was about content. Every conversation turned into a strategy session. Which venue would look best in drone shots? What kind of floral arrangements would get the most likes? She had spreadsheets. Not even kidding. Actual spreadsheets calculating potential follower bumps based on hashtags, lighting, and engagement timing. This wasn't about building a life together. It was about building aesthetic, about curating a luxury vibe without looking like we were trying too hard. And the worst part? I went along with it. I nodded, smiled, paid deposits, all while wondering how I ended up starring in someone else's brand campaign instead of my own wedding. It all unraveled on a completely ordinary afternoon. We were planning a trip to visit her cousin out west, and I opened Natalie's iPad to check the Airbnb confirmation. Totally innocent. But when I picked it up, her group chat was still open in another tab. Probably left from earlier. I wasn't trying to snoop. I didn't even scroll at first. But one message caught my eye. Ethan is basically my emotionally supportive wallet at this point. I blinked. My stomach dropped. I thought maybe I'd misread it, but there it was, clear as day. I scrolled up, And everything after that felt like a slow-motion car crash I couldn't stop watching. 45 minutes? That's how long I sat there reading through message after message, her bridesmaids, her best friends, laughing, plotting, joking like it was some kind of game. The things they said about me weren't just cruel, they were strategic. One friend asked, "He'll pay for the honeymoon too, right?" Another wrote, "Girl, milk it." Then came the real gut punch. "After the wedding, we'll do a hard pivot. He's safe, but he's not it. You deserve someone exciting." And my favorite, "We can always stage something if he gets clingy." It was like reading a script from a bad rom-com where the nice guy gets played. But it wasn't a movie. It was my life. Every message chipped away at whatever love or trust I still had left. The laughing emojis, the manipulative advice, the way they spoke about me like I was a temporary prop in some influencer's storyline. I didn't say anything. I didn't storm into the room demanding answers. I just closed the tab, put the iPod down, and went to make dinner. Quiet, calm. Because apparently, that's what wallets do. Emotionally supportive, silently generous, and completely disposable. After reading those messages, I didn't yell, I didn't cry, I didn't even confront her. Instead, I went completely still, emotionally detached, like I had flipped a switch to airplane mode. The next morning, Natalie was in a bizarrely good mood. She was humming while making smoothies, smiling like nothing was wrong. She even offered to help with groceries by Venmoing me $30. After I'd spent $110 on oat milk and frozen dumplings, I played along, smiled, told her I appreciated it. But, in my head, I had already left. That night, while she was live streaming a skincare Q&A from her ring light setup, I opened a new checking account. New bank, new passwords, no shared logins, just me and a clean slate. I moved about 70% of my savings there without saying a word. Then I scheduled a call with the leasing office. Our lease had 2 months left, but I told them I'd be vacating early. I explained that my cousin, an actual person with real credit, would be taking over the apartment. Paperwork was signed, key transfer scheduled, and I locked in a move-out date that aligned perfectly with her upcoming bachelorette weekend. While Natalie was busy ordering matching silk robes for her bridesmaids and curating TikTok content around her empowered bride aesthetic, I was browsing listings for furnished one-bedroom apartments in a nearby town, under a name she didn't recognize. While she was practicing vows in front of a ring light, I was creating a folder on my desktop called Exit Plan. No drama, no confrontation, just precision. Because I knew if I confronted her directly, she'd spin it. Cry, gaslight, maybe even flip it back on me. So instead I built my way out in silence, one click, one screenshot, one secret move at a time. By this point I wasn't just planning an exit, I was crafting something cleaner, sharper, something that didn't just say, "I'm done," but I saw everything. And I'm not playing your game anymore. The honeymoon was supposed to be in Bali. Natalie had been obsessing over it. Luxury villas, open-air massages, drone shots of poolside breakfasts with hashtags like manifested this. She called it dream content. I just nodded, told her it sounded perfect. She lit up and promised to start building a mood board and a TikTok series. Honeymoon hacks for the empowered bride. I offered to handle the bookings. She gave a half-hearted "Are you sure?" just long enough to seem selfless, then happily passed off the task. What she didn't know was that while she was scheduling hair trials and coordinating nail content, I was changing our destination behind the scenes. Same flights, same dates, but instead of Bali, I rerouted us to a wellness recovery retreat in southern Arizona. Not a resort, not a spa, a full-on disconnect, detox, discover yourself kind of place. No Wi-Fi, group journaling, shared bunk rooms, vegan meals only. One of the guest testimonials literally said, "I arrived with 3 suitcases and left with emotional clarity." It was perfect, and knowing Natalie, she wouldn't read the fine print. She never did, but I wasn't done. I went back and gathered everything. Screenshots of the group chat, payment records, texts where she joked about harnessing male stability. Every piece of evidence that showed who she really was and how little I actually mattered to her. I compiled it all into a single clean PDF, titled it "For You, with Love," and printed a physical copy. Then came the bridal shower. Her best friend, Tara, hosted it, the same one who once told Natalie she needed a man who brings gifts, not emotional growth. Classic. The whole event was dripping in performative Pinterest energy. White balloons, champagne, she said yes signs, and all the usual bride tribe nonsense. I showed up late on purpose. I brought Natalie her favorite overpriced drink, an oat milk lavender latte that makes baristas visibly sigh when you order it. I kissed her on the cheek, smiled, and told her, "You're going to be a beautiful bride." She beamed. While she was busy taking selfies with a cake pop, I quietly slipped the envelope into her bag. No speech, no scene. No one noticed. And then I left. Before dessert. Before questions. Before anything. The bomb was set. Now all I had to do was wait for detonation. Later that night, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Natalie. "Hey, what was that envelope you put in my bag?" I didn't answer. An hour later, "Wait, Ethan, where did you get these screenshots?" Still nothing from me. Then came the classic deflection. "That chat was totally taken out of context. You don't understand how girls talk." Right. Because apparently talking about milking your fiancé dry, staging a fake cheating scandal, and planning a hard pivot to someone more exciting is just harmless brunch banter. Another message came in. "You're overreacting. You're making this into a thing. We're good. Just breathe." I texted back 4 words. "I'm breathing just fine." She called. I let it ring. The next day, she played the apology card. Said it was just jokes, and I was always so literal that I wasn't supposed to see it. Like the problem was that I found out. Not that she actually meant it. I responded, "You're right. I shouldn't have read it. That was wrong of me." Her mood flipped instantly. She sent a kiss emoji. Probably thought everything was back under control. And that's when I sent the first email. Attached was the full PDF. Every message, every emoji, every insult. The subject line was simple. "Before the wedding, you might want to read this." No message, no explanation. Recipient, her mother. Next email, same contents, different recipient. Her aunt. The one paying for the wedding cake. Then I sat back, ordered dinner, and put on a volcano documentary because watching slow, inevitable destruction felt oddly poetic. And just like lava creeping down a mountain, the fallout started quietly, but there was no stopping it. Natalie left for her bachelorette weekend on a Thursday. She was buzzing, talking about aligning her chakras before the chaos. Her suitcase was packed with 3 outfit changes per day and a whole section labeled content. She kissed me on the cheek and said she'd miss me. I told her to have fun. What she didn't notice was that half her closet was already gone. For 3 nights prior, while she was out doing yoga, strategy brunches, or live streaming skincare routines, I'd been quietly moving out. Box by box, drawer by drawer. She never noticed. Because if it didn't involve a ring light or a tagged location on Instagram, it didn't exist to her. By the time her Uber pulled away, the apartment was already halfway empty. The lease was no longer in my name. The mailbox had been forwarded. The Wi-Fi was canceled. The keycard she had deactivated. On the dresser I left 3 things. The engagement ring, neatly placed back in its original box. A flash drive labeled, "From the wallet." A yellow post-it note with 5 words. "Just here to support, emotionally." Because that's what wallets do, right? No yelling, no final showdown. Just silence and receipts. About 5 hours later, the texts started rolling in. "Ethan, what the F is this? Where are you? You're ruining everything." And then the kicker. "I let you love me." I actually laughed out loud at that one. She called, ignored. She FaceTimed, declined. By the time I turned off my phone for the night, I had 32 unread messages. But Natalie wasn't done. The next morning, I heard pounding on the door of my new apartment. I looked through the peephole and saw her. Still in last night's clothes, hair frizzy, mascara smudged, and pure rage in her eyes. She was screaming my name like I owed her something. I didn't answer. I didn't move. I just sat there with Chinese takeout on my lap. Kitchen nightmares playing softly in the background. One of my neighbors peeked out into the hallway, caught my eye, and raised his eyebrows like, "You good?" I nodded. Eventually, Natalie slid down the wall and just sat there. 15 minutes of silence. Then she stormed off. Still, I said nothing, because at that point there was nothing left to say. When someone like Natalie goes quiet, it's never about reflection. It's about strategy. I knew the silence wasn't guilt. It was damage control. I got confirmation that same afternoon from Tara, of all people. Yeah, the same Tara who hosted the bridal shower and once said Natalie needed a man who brings gifts, not emotional growth. Turns out, after the emails I sent to her mom and aunt, the screenshots had circulated. Tara messaged me. "I didn't know it was that bad. Sorry you had to see that stuff." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The truth was already moving on its own. Natalie, meanwhile, was scrambling. She posted a 30-second reel to her wellness account, crying on a patio with dramatic piano music playing behind a voiceover saying sometimes people break you right before your breakthrough. The caption? a mini novel. To those asking why the wedding is off, I'm not ready to share details. Just know I'm healing. I chose love. Sometimes love doesn't choose you back. The comments were filled with sympathy from people who had no idea what really happened, but the ones who did, they weren't buying it anymore. One of her own bridesmaids, Becca, DM'd me. She said Natalie was trying to flip the story, claiming I'd been distant, controlling, emotionally unavailable, that I had ruined everything. So I sent Becca the screenshot where Natalie joked about cutting her from the bridal party if she posted one more blurry thirst trap. Becca's tone changed immediately. Wow, okay, yeah, I didn't know she said that. And just like that, another defender dropped. A few days later, someone anonymously leaked the full PDF, yep, all the receipts, to a local gossip subreddit. It didn't go viral or anything, but it made enough noise, enough that people started whispering, brands started backing off, and her wellness influencer image, this curated fantasy she worked so hard to control, started to crack. One of her biggest partnerships quietly pulled their deal. She didn't post anything for a week. And the wedding? Well, there was no longer a wedding to save. Even after everything blew up, Natalie still went on the honeymoon. Or at least, she thought she did. She showed up at the airport expecting Bali, tropical views, cocktails, luxury villas, and curated content. What she got instead was the retreat I'd booked weeks earlier in southern Arizona, a no-frills, detox-based wellness center where cell phones were discouraged, Wi-Fi was spotty at best, and the only luxury offered was emotional clarity through drum circles and vegan lentils. And since it was non-refundable, she had no choice but to go. The photos she posted were grim. No makeup, shared bunk beds, a blank stare behind her eyes as she sat cross-legged with a journal. One of the retreat leaders even posted a picture of her with the caption, "Facing truth isn't always pretty." I saved that one. As for me, while Natalie was chanting her way through forced introspection, I was in Iceland, solo. I hiked a glacier. I ate something I couldn't pronounce. I sat in a steaming hot spring with a cold beer in hand and watched a volcano smolder in the distance. I posted one photo, me in sunglasses, steam rising all around, captioned, "Emotionally supportive wallet on vacation, no withdrawals accepted." 3 days later, she messaged me from a burner account. "I miss you. I made a mistake." I started typing, thought about all the things I could say, all the truth I could throw back in her face. But I stopped, because here's the thing. You don't get to mock someone's loyalty and then beg for it back. You don't get to exploit someone's kindness and expect them to stick around. You don't get to call someone boring and safe and convenient, and then be shocked when they walk away without looking back. Final message from me? Nothing. Because sometimes silence is the closure, and some people, they don't deserve a response, just the sound of a door closing that they never thought would shut.